Hi, I'm Danica Fine, here to tell you what's new with Apache Kafka 3.6. So many great KIPs and updates went into this latest version, so let's dive in and see what's the buzz with this sweet release. We'll start with updates from Kafka Core. First up, we have KIP 4.05, which introduces tiered storage to Kafka. Tiered storage extends Kafka's storage capabilities beyond the local storage that's available on the Kafka cluster. It does so by retaining the older data in an external store with minimal impact on the internals of Kafka. Now you can offload some of your Kafka data to, say, cloud storage like S3, HDFS, and more. It's meant to be pluggable, meaning that you can expect more data stores to be supported in the future. Keep in mind that tiered storage is only early access as part of this release. It's not advised to use it on production clusters just yet, but we encourage users to create new clusters to test it out. There are some limitations to the current implementation when it comes to JPod, compacted topics, and your client versions, so read the docs for more information before trying it. KIP 8.9.0 provides more ways to avoid pesky hanging transactions that can negatively impact your read-committed consumers and prevent compacted topics from being, well, compacted. So let's suit up with server-side defense for transactions and eliminate some of the causes of hanging transactions. Do you hear that buzz? That sounds like KIP 7.9.7, which means that you can now have duplicate listeners on the same port. Being able to have IPv4 and IPv6 on the same port means better network compatibility. Also keep in mind that this update doesn't affect advertised listeners. They already had this capability. Another quick update comes with KIP 9.0.2, upgrading the ZooKeeper version that's bundled with Kafka to ZooKeeper 3.8.2. This upgrade includes a number of ZooKeeper improvements and security fixes. And if you've been following the latest updates closely, you would know that ZooKeeper will be removed from Kafka in version 4.0 in favor of KRaft. Next, KIP 8.6.8 improves the durability of the KRaft layer by adding metadata transactions. KRaft uses record batches as a mechanism for atomicity. In the past, there was a limit to the fetch size on the Raft consensus layer, so the controller could generate a set of atomic records that exceeded this size, which isn't good. KIP 8.6.8 introduces marker records that allow larger sets of atomic records to be sent to the Raft consensus layer in multiple batches. This solution bypasses the fetch limit in a way that allows the KRaft controller to remain decoupled from the Raft implementation details. The last KRaft update we'll cover is KIP 9.1.9. This KIP changes how the AdminClient behaves and allows it to interact directly with the KRaft Quorum controller. Although the KRaft Quorum controller was designed to be isolated from the AdminClient, there are certain tasks that would be easier otherwise. So now, the AdminClient can perform some administrative tasks without involving the brokers. To do so, this KIP adds a new AdminClient configuration called Bootstrap Controllers, and a number of command line tools have been updated to include this configuration. Users should generally be cautious when using this feature, as it could bypass some critical safety checks. What's next? How about some validation? Timestamp validation, that is. With KIP 9.3.7, a few heuristics are included to properly vet timestamps and avoid common headaches. While timestamps in the past are completely valid and make sense when using Kafka, messages with future timestamps are questionable, and in some cases could be a result of a mistakenly formatted integer. And our final update for Kafka Core is KIP 7.2.6. Now, usually sticky wouldn't be a good thing, but cooperative-sticky is. KIP 7.2.6 makes the cooperative-sticky assignor the default assignor for clients, replacing the old default range assignor. With this change, clients will be able to take advantage of the more efficient cooperative protocol by default and avoid stop-the-world rebalancing. Existing applications that don't set an assigner can safely upgrade using a normal rolling bounce, and will automatically transition to cooperative rebalancing. Clients are, of course, able to explicitly choose to use other assigners as they see fit. First up for Kafka Streams is KIP 9.2.3, which adds a grace period to stream-to-table joins. It naturally builds on KIPs 8.8.9 and 9.1.4 from Apache Kafka 3.5 to handle out-of-order data better. To use this feature, the joined object has a new method appropriately called withGracePeriod. When enabled, the tableside lookup only happens after the grace period has passed. Rack awareness is an important feature for many Kafka clients. For Kafka Streams, it was already possible starting in Kafka 3.2 to make standby task placement rack aware via KIP 708. KIP 925 takes it a step further and allows active tasks to be assigned in a rack-aware way. To enable this functionality, the rack configurations need to be set for both your brokers and clients using broker.rack and client.rack. Then, set the new Kafka Streams configuration parameter rack-aware assignment strategy to min traffic. If you've used Interactive Queries version 2, you know that range queries are important, and that null can really throw a wrench in them. In the past, KIP 805 allowed you to define fully bounded ranges, half-bounded ranges, and unbounded full selections of entries using dedicated methods, but you could not use null to define an open-ended upper or lower bound. KIP 941 removes the sting of this process and allows nulls to be used as expected. Finally, let's hear from some Kafka Connect updates. KIP 898 is here to help us discover things more easily. Connector plugins, at least. When Connect starts up, the worker needs to discover all of the plugin classes that are available on both the class path and plugin path. This can be a time-consuming and resource-intensive process. This feature is opt-in, so once KIP 898 is enabled, Connect workers are more efficient in how they discover plugin classes. On startup, the worker will read from the service loader manifests and module info directly. Users who are using a number of different plugin types, like connectors, converters, and more, will see reduced startup times. Now, I could drone on and on about the features included in this latest release, but I think this is a good place to stop. All right. Now, if you're curious to hear more about the KIPs and features included in AK 3.6, buzz on over to the Confluent blog or check out the release notes to learn more. And as usual, I look forward to hearing what you build.